excited to introduce Tonee Moll today. Tonee is a queer poet, essayist, and educator. They're the author of Out of Step, a Memoir, which won the Lambda Literary Award and the Nonfiction Collection Prize. Their latest book, You Cannot Save Here, won the Jean Feldman Poetry Prize and was recently published by Washington Writers Publishing House. Tonee is an assistant professor of English at a community college here in Maryland, and they hold an MFA in creative writing and publishing arts from the University of Baltimore and a Ph.D. in English from Morgan State University. We're grateful to have Tonee here reading for us today. Please welcome Tonee Moll.
Thank you for that, and thank you all for being here. I see some people standing. I know the front is awkward, but there are 3 open seats if any of you want to sit down right here. I won't do any audience work, you're fine. I'm going to be reading from You Cannot Save Here. I saw, actually, if you've seen the book, it's beautiful. I actually saw the designer walk in just a second ago, Andrew Sargis Klein, he's brilliant. I'm gonna start with, are there any gamers in here? Any nerdy? Yeah, good. I love literary gamers, thank y'all. This starts with an epigraph from the best video game of all time, Final Fantasy VI. From Sid about halfway through, just after the world ends. The few others who washed up here with us passed away from boredom and despair. The poem's titled You Cannot Save Here. My favorite apocalypse happens halfway through, as in everything comes down and you've got to keep going. As in you are witness to the trappings of classic catastrophe, a shake, a shockwave, separation, your memories split open, and what's left is a pitch you recognize as the wind and an undone coast that whispers behind you, loss, loss. A whole year has passed, everything washed in an autumn palette, and a dove or dying elder insists an elsewhere and someone you knew is alive out there, and you've got to keep going. This next poem is also titled You Cannot Save Here. In fact, there are 30 poems in the book titled You Cannot Save Here, which great for a joke, but makes it a bit hard. And this is after Mary Oliver, the poet probably a ton of you know, right? And also John Berger, who is an artist and art critic who's really popular in the 70s and 80s. Whole blocks give way to blight, and I darn my favorite sweater. I'm lying, I pay someone to darn my favorite sweater. I'm lying, I buy a new sweater, assuming endless supply. Skip my long run day and stay indoors. Watch ways of seeing while working out a body I can't save in the long run. A body I can't afford to resolve and won't before the walls rot. The top of the world packs up and goes more quickly than we predict. I'm grinding experience points. The mirror sends me on a side quest, and I clutch my gut like a hamburger, murmur 180 by April. Hail Mary, full of grace, I keep trying to do the one wild and precious life thing, make something lavender of the hooded crow's wailing cries, fold together a family of lovers who know the most poetic ways of barricading the doors. We get on with it as the fires start. We focus on breathing, on anything sacred, the holiness of hands, of hand jobs, of starting gardens of garlic climbing through the floorboards, more tender names for orgies, for Aprils, for the last time the earth bows to the sun. So the book is a collection of poems about how the world's ending and how we get on with the things that matter most, like being with friends and coming to poetry readings and falling in and out of love and all the things that make life. How do we do that when the days feel apocalyptic? This is titled You Cannot Save Here. We go on in the bread-colored land called workplace. I am a trash can fire in conference room A. I am sure I know nothing about the borders along which we split self from form. I am too often convinced I am the only ache in this throng of neutral suits No one asks my pronouns, but I'm learning to trust no one who knows for sure the name for the space their body negates. All I know is I am the sharp scent of clementine peel lingering on thewy hands I wish were smaller. I remind myself not to believe in anything as predictable as the tide. Self should be approximate, like when and where a fish will devour a hook.
Thanks.
I think a lot of queer people in this room, so this is probably a pretty safe bet. Any poly folks in here? Yeah, fuck yeah, love it. Little shy hands coming up. This is titled Poly Beach House. I'm so hyped. Can I brag at y'all for a little bit? I woke up this morning or 2 mornings ago, to an email from Harvard University Press for permissions for this poem. It's gonna appear in a forthcoming book, 50 super gay love poems, which already so cool. And also it's edited by Stephanie Burt, who in addition to being like a hero of mine, is like one of the most brilliant thinkers on poetry in the United States. So I'm super hyped about it. This is about going to the beach with the polyculo. It has in here the Greek word for apocalypse, which is eschatos. I'm gonna say eschatos. A thin film floats over the weekend. An unerotic tension of sucked stomachs and bathroom breaks snuck in while the rest stroll on the boardwalk. And one of us allows our ache for tasting everything to overwhelm the ever-present whisper of the end of the season. And one of us says nothing as she slips out to watch the sun rise over an ocean that loathes us. And one of us says they're scared the undying inside won't be seen before the moon collides with the sea. And all of us feel it. After a swim, I carve eschatos in the sand, and my body wishes I had the time to cover up my bad tattoos. Oh, apocalypse, we just want a summer. When wasn't the end hiding behind the sun?
Yeah.
This is about working during a global pandemic. It's titled You Cannot Save Here. The seams burst and we still have to go to work. The waters rise and someone still asks you to put on a boot or tie, a smile, black slacks and or sneaks. Sell your hours while the West turns to ash, while the world covers a hacking cough. Gozer takes a downtown tower, and cops refuse to shut down traffic along Pratt Street during rush hour. A rider appears on a dark horse on the Beltway's westbound lane, and 1,000 locusts swarm around each hoof as it hits the asphalt. The skies turn gray, the radio hums an annual fundraising drive. Your boss sucks his teeth on the other end of a call. Unprecedented times, yes, yes. New normal, yes, yes. I hope this finds you well. Fenrir stretches upward on his hind legs to swallow the sun. Just take care to find someone who can cover your shift. This is after The Truman Show, and it's titled You Cannot Save Here. I rewatched The Truman Show during quarantine, and the actress who's playing an actress is wearing a button that says, "How's it going to end?" And 2 things happen. First, I burst like a goddamn egg. I unknot like an egg. I weep like an egg. I succeed at being a mess. And 2, I realize that after Truman takes a bow and steps into the black, that world they've built there must end. Too many shows go on for too long. The Fonz jumps over a shark. Someone wins the lottery, but it was all a dream. Bless the curtain. Some ends of some worlds are meant to be, I think, a happy ending. How to write a love poem during a play. First, don't. But remember that this too shall be settled, accepted one day as standard, an intimacy absent of the sweat and ugly scents that make it. Discover you miss stripping off pit-soaked t-shirt between unceasing lips. Next, Try not to fall for someone new. But if you do, I guess the talk about safer sex sounds different, unless you survive the 80s. You know what? Just wash your hands or learn to long or fuck long distance. I don't know what day it is, but the moon is still waxing, even if you and I have stopped shaving. Go ahead, finally, and say it. I've worn this hoodie for 4 days, and I miss you, I think. This is after Rilke, again, a poet a lot of you know, and Dr. Fauci. It's titled, You Cannot Say Here. After 148 days inside, stacked end to end, from hoodie and heater to straining central air, I reconsider the body problem. On one hand, who needs hands? A rib cage stuffed with disquiet, the soft tissue of desire, the dark center where the narrative gets jammed up. But fuck, do you remember the 4 of us and both dogs tucked into a hatchback, howling Dolly lyrics till we went raspy? Or do you recall stone soup picnics in the park, the mosquitoes mauling my leg as we passed my favorite gay poems back and forth in the grass? You held open the thin book with one hand, pulled the pit from your sucking lips with the other. I used my index fingernail to press tiny crosses into the raised pink of my skin. My best friend is here, and that poem mentions her. I love reading when she's here. I am going through, a lot of my friends are here, you know I'm going through a rough time. I practiced this poem and barely made it through without crying, so wish me luck, y'all.
It's okay to cry.
Thanks, y'all. Oh my God. I'm gonna tell my therapist, y'all. You cannot stay here. I'm just gonna skip forward to the next poem if it doesn't work. The 700th day of the end. I don't do anything. I let my circadian rhythm slip loose by rising with the midday hum of lunch rush bustle outside city window. Sweater weather in December suggests the end continues to sputter along slowly enough we don't panic at its approach. I roll myself out of plush nest and pour an afternoon coffee as winter spills the golden hour early. And spring myself into evening and then night, and then the hours when even the moon puts her phone away, when I'm feeling like the only person left on a broken planet. Sometimes I keep the lights out, stand in the center of carpeted blue rooms during the witching hour, wonder what I'm doing with myself. And it's not that we were wrong about it all coming down, it's that we've gotten used to it. No sudden flood, no final kiss, just a slow goodbye of ice in a sweating rocks glass. Here, then less here, then not here. I have 2 more poems, but before I get to them, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Smartish Pace and the series. I want to thank the bookstore, Bird in Hand. Thank you for putting this on. I certainly want to thank my favorite poet, you're one of my favorite poets, my fellow poet, Courtney, whose work I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited that Baltimore came out to support her. Her book is over here, make sure you check it out. And I want to thank you all for being here on a Sunday afternoon in the winter, hearing queer and trans poems. This is Abad for An Ending That Doesn't Arrive. This is a form of poetry that traditionally it's a song, a morning song, like Good Morning. And it's a song, it's a little bit like of a lament, like, oh, it's morning and I'm in bed with my lover and now I've got to go. And so this is Abad for An Ending That Doesn't Arrive. Oh, and actually, you know that Moorish tower outside of the reservoir over here? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, good. Let's mention that. I want to make sure someone knows what it is. Okay. There are mornings, the rare mornings when you're up before the heat, on walks or rides out to an urban reservoir, belted by wildflower, belted by spiked iron fence, belted by bike path, belted by thoroughfare, belted by row home tucked into a city misremembered by everyone except the 6 a.m. sun, summoning the hum of human and roadway churn, slowly at first so as not to shock the stillness still lingering. Nautical dawn left settled on bus stop bench, on unwashed marble stoop step, on those trees near the low-rise housing on Caroline Street, where someone, some management someone, some unromantic government has trimmed them to nothing but tall trunks, freed of any ornament, no leaf, stem, branch. It's like the reservoir where, while blessing the water for future use, the workers stirred it until unpotable, and the bike path is halved, which makes the odd marble tower feel out of the city's way, an accidental setting, not a place you aim, but somewhere you stumble. And an old jogger has stopped there in first light, with half the city sprawling out below, and hands on hips, he tells you that community once fought to keep it up, just so the two of you, standing here as the city wakes up, could pause. When you imagine a world that ends more slowly, a world where the end never arrives at all. Thanks. This last poem closes the book too. It's titled "The City That Returns is the City," and it's. Do y'all remember in spring of 2021, and we all got our vaccines, and Delta hadn't showed up yet, and we're like, "We did it!" Springtime's blooming, and like there's this rising optimism in the world. This poem was written during that time. The city that returns is the city. One, I walk by a body sprawled out in the grass, in a park that's been empty for a year, and there's something about the spring that summons Savasana before corpse. There's a hubris in the crocuses littering color across the city, in the tail end of the plague year, in the tail end of the Anthropocene. The city that returns is the city that was before. For better or worse, the world that returns is still dying. Two, I'm not trying to be out here being a poet who writes about flowers, just Hermes loved a boy so much that he tags his man's names in thawing parks every April. Purple crown, golden halo, perennial bottom. Three, the crocus's hubris rhymes with optimism. The spring sings the same myth as the fall. You cannot save here. Thank you all so much.